it's a curious topic, this one about letting go of things. And I wondered what has sparked your interest, what really got you going into this theme of letting go? Because I'm guessing it wasn't what got me into it, which was the excitement of talking about the Disney film Frozen. So what got you into this theme of letting go?
Well, it was less about the Disney film, I have to say, although I have been there. Um, so I got interested in this idea because it seemed to me that the challenge of letting go lies at the heart of a lot of change and a lot of decisions that people make. And I've seen this in my clients, in my colleagues, and so on. And it was brought home to me a bit at the weekend because on Saturday last, I went to visit a friend, an old friend of mine. I've known him 40 years, and he's dying, basically. And I went there partly as part of my own letting go, if you like, because I wanted to say goodbye to this guy who's, someone I loved a lot, And I realized that all his family were around him, they're letting go. He's also letting go as well, in some way as well. And I thought, gosh, this is quite dramatic in the sense that it's normal, but it's one of those, probably once in a lifetime experiences for people. But on the other hand, I remember talking to you and saying how in your daily routine, there's a kind of letting go process where you might have hundreds of things to do and you've got to
Mm.
prioritize, to use the jargon, what you're going to do today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a big stack of things to do today, and unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave some of those behind in order to
Yeah,
feel good about myself at the end of the day for having done a good job. So that's
absolutely.
quite a small scale thing, though it does sort of
Yeah,
it is somewhere on that spectrum between the big life events and the
yeah,
small daily events. So
yeah.
there's lots in our lives. What about in your clients' lives, Matt?
Well, I
Where has
was,
this come up for you in your practice?
yeah, it's interesting really because I was thinking of somebody I know who's incredibly talented, intelligent, got a PhD, da, 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 da. They work for an organization that just does not value them, does not see their potential. And they have possibility of moving on elsewhere, of letting go, let's say, but they won't because they like the fact that they can tell people I work for this organization. There's a certain kudos in saying, oh, I work for, I won't name it, but there you go. And I also was thinking of other people. I'm coaching someone at the moment who works in what I can only really call an abusive organizational context. They're treated abysmally badly by their manager, by the system, and really. What happens is this becomes normalized, doesn't it? We know this about trauma and so on. It becomes like the normality, and it's very hard for them to see outside of that, and therefore to let go becomes difficult even though stepping out of it is it's blindingly obvious that that's what they need to do. That's what my opinion is. They need to let go. Okay. And I was also thinking of people I know who've been planning their retirements for a decade. Do you see what I mean? I'm talking about winding down, stepping back, no, 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 and actually they still haven't quite managed to do it. And every time they say they're going to step back, you find them taking on more work and so on. Now, and it's not. I'm not judging them or blaming them for this. What I'm saying is it can be challenging, can't it, to let go to make the actual letting go actually happen. I was also thinking, just to give you another example, of the challenge of actually letting go enough to delegate properly, to develop people into their roles. And I worked with the director, the technical and engineering director of a big organization, and who'd come up through the ranks, an engineer. And what I just realized working with them is that they're still an engineer at heart. Now, that's not a bad thing, but the problem was they're now a director and they're responsible for strategy, for thinking ahead, for planning. Do you know what I mean? And the big picture
Mm.
stuff, designing the organization. And all they're doing is making sure that they've got their engineering ticket still live. They're still a member of whatever the association was. They're not doing any development for themselves or anything else that's actually moving them into the role they're supposed to be doing. And what's happened is they've run out of key equipment. Right now, this is the engineering technical director. They've run out of key equipment which keeps the organization running. basically.
Mm.
It's fundamental to their organization. It's very dependent on that. So what I've seen here is this inability to let go of, if you like, the past as well. What I used to do in order to me to step up into the new role, new probably 2 or 3 roles on now, and to allow others to pull others up, to draw them up so that they can fulfill roles. So that these are
Mm.
some of the things I've been thinking about, Hugh.
Thank you, Matt. And I'm struck by many things there. You know, your great experience in this and how many times you're coming across the issue of letting go. I know we're going to give people an opportunity to bring their ideas in a moment and to talk about the letting goes that are important to our audience. Also struck by how it's not necessarily that anybody's being disingenuous here when they say, I want to retire. They really do want to retire, or they really do want to do the thing they want, but something's getting in the way. And I hope there's chance today to explore that barrier or that challenge, getting people to the line of change or the point of change. So thank you, Matt.